At the turn of the century, El Paso was a booming community, growing into a town and would become a very large city. After the growth of the 20s, the Great Depression slowed it down but did not stop it altogether. It was into this world that Sam and Eunice Borsberry would welcome Jolene Bell. Sam was a materials handler for the government for the war effort and therefore was considered an essential worker and allowed to remain at home. On May 1st, 1943, Jolene Bell entered our world. It was discovered fairly early on that she would deal with asthma. This would be a lifelong ailment that she would deal with. By the age of 3, she had a little brother, Bert, and he came in and was welcomed also into the family. But Jolene could not go to school quite yet because of the asthma. It was so very difficult. Her mother would sit up all night long, holding her and caring for her, and during the day, home tutors would come in until the 3rd grade and help her with her studies and keep her up to date with the things that she needs to do. But she didn't let that hold her back. She kept going on, pressing on, pushing on to great heights. As a child, Jolene accepted Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior and was baptized in the Grandview Baptist Church. Her faith has been the guiding light of her life. She and her family were faithful in worship and service at Grandview. After high school, Jolene attended Baylor University in Waco, Texas. She majored in home economics and graduated with a BS degree in 1965. She was a member of a service club that later became a sorority. In that service club, she was a leader in building a homecoming float. Jolene would later enroll at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas, earning a Master of Religious Education in 1967. Her emphasis was youth work, and she used this training as a youth director at First Baptist Church in Brandfield, Texas in 1967.
Dear Mama and Daddy, I've started this letter 3 times, and it seems like I'm having a hard time finishing it. I'm really enjoying singing in the seminary choir. I'm learning a lot. Our choir tour will be after school's out, and we're going to the Carolinas. It should be great fun. I haven't dated anyone in particular, but always just a big bunch go somewhere. Good buddies. There aren't too many prospects this year, but a lot can happen. Funniest thing, I was sitting in the library writing this, and I got a date to training union at church on Sunday night. A crazy guy, Don Rogers, half bald and country, but sort of fun. I'll have to hone up on my football because he's a big Louisiana State fan. He's from Louisiana. Guess I better close. Love y'all bunches. Joe. November 1966. Dear Mama and Daddy, this week has flown by. I haven't had time to write. I got your letters. I appreciate them very much. I'm still dating Don R. He's nice and lots of fun to date, but I don't think anything will ever develop. But it's fun. Love, Joe. December 1st, 1966. Dear Mama and Daddy, I made it back safe and sound and have been running ever since. I've had a lot of studying to do. I have 2 tests this week. I need to buckle down and finish up tonight because I have 3 big papers due. I also saw Don yesterday. It was good to see him again. Guess I'll close for now. Gotta run. P.S. I'm probably coming home on the 22nd after I have my 2 hardest exams on the same day. I am fine and staying out of too much trouble. Guess I better close again. Love, Joe.
Jolene and I had been dating in seminary, and it was a very fun time when we went to get the engagement ring in Shreveport, and she drove my little Volkswagen back to Shreveport. I'm from Shreveport to Fort Worth, and I was on the other, and she drove with her hand up looking at the diamond. And the thing is, we had grown up in Sunday school and training union, and we were taught what Christians should do in their dating life and in going into marriage and things. And so this was a climax of coming together and having a very special joining of 2 families, but more than that, Jolene and I, oh, I love that gal. And it was so fun because she, first of all, her wedding dress was beautiful. And she really represented, I thought, Christian adult womanhood. But more than that, somebody that I could love and cherish and hold for the rest of my life. Well, we lived in Fort Worth 2 years. She taught school at Burleson, Texas, and helped get me through seminary. And it was a very special time. Boy, we ate out all the good restaurants, and she came home with all these menus that she wanted to try, being a home ec major. It was fun. We just had a lot of fun as young adults in Fort Worth. She had already graduated with a Master's of Religious Education from seminary, and I was working on my Master of Divinity. We started going to East Texas. I was pastoring at Picton, Texas. We just learned more about each other, about our families, what our goals, what our dreams, and it was a fun time. Jolene always attracted people. They seemed to be drawn to her because if you really knew Jolene, she was an humble woman. She was a little bit shy in regards to pushing out into crowds and things like that. But she had such a good background from Baylor and really growing up in a Southern Baptist church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and learning about missions. And there she was on the mission field. And we had the opportunity to go and to see the work firsthand. And we were promoting some things in a partnership between Oklahoma Southern Baptist and the Baptists in Spain. The Spanish Baptists had only been free to openly meet in things openly for about 10 years before this. And so they were developing all their church. But Jolene would have opportunities to mix with the ladies and things. And one of the things I see here is that we help escort the state WMU president, director, through Spain. We had that responsibility. And because of that, she and Jolene just yak all the trip and had fun. And they got to meet the missionary wives. And Jolene was always a good calling card for me, because you just did not get embarrassed with Jolene. Jolene just would be able just to flow into the situation and talk to the people, and people just seemed to be attracted to her. We may laugh at our outfits and things like this, but Jolene dressed nicely for the time period, and she was very modest, and it was something special. But her brother and her dad and the two of us went, and we had a special surprise, which you'll see in a picture, that Carol and Herschel Kirkendall joined us. We have a lot of jokes about that. They kind of surprised us on that trip, and it was just a fun thing. And what we saw was that Mr. Borsberry, and I still call him Mr. Borsberry. His name's Sam, but Mr. Borsberry and Herschel talked business and everything like that. And Jolene was able to talk to Carol. It was a fun trip, and we really did enjoy that. And we've traveled with Kirkendall several trips to Australia, New Zealand, around the Mediterranean. Jolene was one that, in her background, in her family and things, she went to New York and she went to California, and her mother was no slouch when it came to clothes either, and they knew how to select clothes and stuff, but that was a very fun time for Jolene, because we forgot some of the things, and Aaron had to go fast as he could like a rocket. Oh, forgot the meat for the rehearsal dinner, nothing like that. Slow us down. Jolene says, "Here's the keys to the car, drive. I don't care, fast, I'll pay the fine. Get it here." Well, I tell you, as a woman and as my wife, she took care of me personally in so many different ways as a pastor's wife, which is not an easy position to be in. But then the baby started coming, and what a special time. And we started with Phoebe, and they became buddies, and I know Phoebe said this past week, "Grandma, you're my best friend." And then we saw the over from Guyman, grandkids being born, and Sam, and you see in the picture, Sam and Jolene are just really tied together, and in a very special way. And then later on, the relationship with Bella became very, very special, and she was proud of all the kids. One of the things that a committee member that called me as director of missions said that he was impressed with Jolene, that when we were walking together up to the meeting, you could see on her face she was proud of me. Well, she's proud of these grandkids. You ought to see her sit on the side of a hog ring and see the kids show, and she was just so proud, and it was a fun time for us. And thing is that she really loved those babies. And then with the younger boys that were coming on, Joel's two sons, it was fun to watch them and their models and all the different kind of things that they would do, and I was so impressed. And of course these two boys, Eli with his interest in geography, and Luke and his interest in history, and Jolene just took that all in and enjoyed hearing about their things. Jolene had a good relationship with Darla, and it was just a natural thing for her to enjoy their children. And then there was a grandchild born in Norman area, Jocelyn, and we have seen pictures of her, and she's going to take after her dad and her cousin and others and her mother's background in regards to showing sheep and livestock and things, and God has been good to us. And the word I've used is He graced us. He graced us with kids that like to do good, do family things, and they're all excellent students. Well, her ministry is always more successful than mine, probably. When we would move from church to church, usually the church gives you a big dinner at the end, and I looked up one time, and all of the ladies of the church were around Jolene. And here I looked and realized that she had taught them ceramics. Some of these people had never worked in ceramics, but she also taught them how to enter them in the state fair and win ribbons. But I guess the thing that stands out most about Jolene and her, she did two things. First of all, she developed in Hennessy, she developed a GA, Mission Friend GA, ACT Teens, and Baptist Young Women program, where it taught missions, and she enlisted other people and they learned missions. And it was just a special time. When we moved back to Hennessy to be director of missions, some little girls ran up to her, "Are you now going to teach missions again?" And she said, "Oh, baby, I don't know," and just left it at that. But it was just kind of fun that they loved each other. Jolene had one thing she did in church every year, and it was something that was very predictable, and it had the same kind of results. She had the GA girls bring their Lottie Moon banks with their Christmas mission offering. And she'd bring down front, and Jolene would, well, what she'd do is start crying. She was so overwhelmed with the girls and the possibilities of what they could be. And here they were bringing their offerings, and she felt so gratified. And then later in Beaver, Jolene, we had heard a James Dobson program, and he had mentioned apples of gold. And Jolene just got the book and ordered books for all people. She enlisted mature women that had been married successfully and for several years, and really mentored these women with newer wed brides. And they talked on things from cooking and managing the house and relationship to their husband. And there was even a spiritual dimension to this, because that book would talk about purity. I'd talk about how that there had to be a special bond with your husband, and she would select one woman to be able to teach that lesson, a hard lesson, but a needed lesson. And it was and she cooked for the women there, and they met in our house. And I had to leave on that night and find something to do, because they occupied the house, and it was a lot of fun. And she copied the menus and recipes, and the ladies at least had something to go home to try to cook. And it went over about as well as anything we ever had in ministry. Last week I was with her in intensive care, and really just kind of put my head down on the bed and realized that this woman had been with me for 53 years, and she was a partner in ministry. Here is a woman who I felt push me, not violently push me, but an encouragement. I know one thing: I always had encouragement at home from Jolene. And I think that's one of the most important things, that the world passed me by. The world did not care for me in something. Jolene did. And she was there holding me up. Probably the greatest thing she ever said to me, 25-year anniversary type thing, quietly to myself. She came and said, "I will marry you all over again." Well, we talk about Jolene having my back, but there's much more involved in our relationship. We had a relationship through the Lord. Now, one of the neat things about Jolene, she and I, we didn't sit around and talk religion or the faith or things like this. We lived it. I mean it. We just didn't have a major difficulty. And it was enjoyable knowing that you had someone, a like spirit, like direction, and she made it where it was fun to be married.